Cynthia, Brennan, John, and Ron. Yay! Yay! No apologies. I love that. We are who we are, and we are who we have come here to be. Yes, yes. So I'm on a Science of Mind textbook thrill. Because I'm so re-stimulated into 1977, when I took my first Science of Mind class. And it was in Eugene, Oregon. I was 27 years old. I was 24 years old. I got my dates mixed up. I was 24 years old. And I knew that there was something, but I had no clue how to use it or how to have any kind of control in the seeming random circumstances in my life. And I found this teaching that was laid out in such a clear way. It didn't leave room for ambiguity. It made no apologies for what it believed. And it showed me how the universe worked and what my point, my participation in that was, and how my life was a reflection, a creation, a manifestation of me. And up until then, I had never heard anything like that. I had heard a lot of, oh, that Barbara, she's a bad kid, you know, and she's going to burn in hell, and God doesn't like her, and she doesn't get any of the breaks. All of that I had heard for a long time, and I started to hear something different that says there's a presence and a power within each one of us, and in that presence and power, we have all of the power of the universe to create into form. And that this is the way that it works. You think a thought, the thought goes into this thing that we're calling law, and sets that law in motion, bringing together all like forms of energy until it pops out into creation. And that you can't get away from the law. The law is no respecter of persons or places or things, that it's going to work for you just the way it works for me, the way it works for you. You don't have to have been good. You don't have to have the right socioeconomic status. You don't have to be the right gender. You don't have to be the right age. Because I was a kid. I was 24 years old. I had a 3-year-old. I had moved out to Eugene, Oregon. I had not a penny. I was sleeping on somebody's floor while my son slept on the couch. And I had no idea how to get a handle on life until I found this teaching. And I got to tell you, this teaching lifted me, and it opened me, and I have never turned my back on it. This is my Science of Mind textbook. The name in it is Reverend Barbara Bonacorso. That was my name when I taught Jill. Your name was also not Gailey, it was Rhoda. The back is held together with packing tape. As I've been rereading some of these, there's tape holding torn pages together. This is so old that the highlighting has faded. But it's got all of my notes in it. It's got all of my teaching notes of what I want to make sure that my students get clearly, that I don't just gloss over because I think that everyone should automatically understand it. And it also has the points that I want to make sure I get, that I don't gloss over them. And the beginning of this textbook is actually the introduction. It's 4 chapters of an introduction. And on the first page of the introduction, I just want to read a little bit to you. This is, usually it's John's the professor and Barbara's the rock star. This is Teacher Barbara coming out. So yes, I am going to read to you, just take a breath. To suppose that the creative intelligence of the universe would create man in bondage and leave him bound would be to dishonor the creative power which we call God. To suppose that God could make a man as an individual without leaving him to discover himself would be to suppose an impossibility. Individuality must be spontaneous. It can never be automatic. The seed of freedom must be planted in the innermost being of man. But like the prodigal son, man must make the great discovery for himself. We see abundance in the universe. We cannot count the grains of sand on a single beach. The earth contains untold riches, and the very air is vibrant with power. Why then is man weak, poor, and afraid? The science of mind deals with these questions. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. All instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law. Thus, the inherent nature of man is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. We do well to listen to this inner voice, for it tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, a freedom which the soul craves. But the great love of the universe must be one with the great law of its own being, and we approach love through law. And this is the teaching, love and law. As the love of God is perfect, so the law of God is also perfect. We must understand both. And for me, that's what really got me. This idea that says there is a law. It's a spiritual law, but it is a law as dependable as flipping the switch and the light comes on, or in this case, the slider goes up and the lights come on. As dependable as everything that is proven by law. We think a thought, and that thought is the point of creation in our lives. We are both universal and individual at the same time. We are not an individual in spirit. We're not a part of spirit. We are spirit individualized as us. We are spirit spiriting as us. We're not separate from spirit. We are a verb of spirit. We are the action of spirit. And as we start to get a sense of that if whatever spirit is, it could make us as a separate entity, then there would be separation. There would be spirit and us as a separate entity. Or if we were just a little piece of spirit, there would be the little piece of us as spirit, and then something outside of our little piece. We would have moved into a world of duality. And time and space does not hold together in duality. It must be one. It must be oneness. And so as that idea of oneness, we start to look at it and go, well, who am I? Oh my gosh, who am I? Charlie goes around and says, you are God, act like it. Okay, how does that work, for goodness sake? That I am God. I am all of God. I'm not just a part of God. That is what I am. I've often said that if you get the first two steps of treatment, you don't need any more. The first one is recognizing that the presence of the divine is everywhere. It's omnipotent. It's infinite. It is absolute, needing nothing outside of itself. Doesn't have to have anything to relate to be relative to. It is absolute. It encompasses the relative, but it is beyond the relative. It is absolute. If we could get that truly, whatever spirit is all that there is. That's the first step. And the second step is, and that is what I am. If we could get who we really are, and as Breezy so beautifully saying, not be afraid of it, not hold back on it, but just go for it. If we could get that I am the individualized expression of spirit, and I don't consciously understand it, okay, I'll give us that there is a conscious awareness and there is a universal awareness, or as Ernest says, a subjective awareness. And that on the subjective side of life, we are one with all. And we are focused in time and space, which has inherent within it ideas of duality because it's the nature of time and space. Space is here and there. That's two. Time is the amount of time it takes to get from here to there. You cannot have space without time, and you cannot have time without space. But just because we're living in a time-space continuum doesn't mean that's what we are. We are beyond the time and space of things. We are beyond the form of things. We are infinite in our scope. We are one on the subjective side of life. If we could get that, we would never have to do any other forms of treatment. We would not need any affirmations. We would not need step 3, 4, or 5. If we could get that, it would heal what people go to therapists for decades for. No, 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 I'm the bad kid. No, you're not. No, you're not. You are the individualized expression of infinite love and absolute power. That's who you are. What? That was my process for years studying this teaching. I took Science of Mind 101 4 times, and 101 and 102, it's a year-long course when I was going to school. I took it 4 times, and then I started teaching it, which is harder than taking it. To get this idea that at some level, we are all the same because we are all one. On this level, we all look different. We've got different lives. We've got different names. We've got different things to do. But do not be fooled by the realm of time and space. Do not be fooled that you are simply your body. You have a body. You're not your body. You're not your memories. You're not your experiences. You're not your money. You're not your car. You're not the people that you hang out with. You are greater than all of that. You are greater than anything can be, because that which you are goes beyond the realm of thing. When we think a thought, something happens. Way back in the 40s, I think it was, when IBM was first coming out, they took a picture of a thought leaving somebody's head. And I say, well, how does that happen? Just because you have neurotransmitters firing, you don't actually have something that you can see. Ah, but you do. Whenever 2 neutrinos collide, well, whenever two photon lights collide, a neutrino is the byproduct. You can take 2 little bits of light and smash them together, and you get a piece of matter comes flying off of it. And you can take a picture of that matter. This is not just airy-fairy stuff. This is stuff that science has proven. When you think a thought, something happens. When you think a thought, this law of the universe, and I appreciate the love aspect, because for those of us who are feelers and want to live in the love, and those of us who bring with us unhealed inner children that need that love, it's wonderful that there is only love, but there is also only law. And when you think a thought, when you hold a belief, when you hang out with an energy of people, that will create in form. And it is the same power that has the sunrise in the east and the moon go through its phases. It is the same power as everything. There is no difference. We are amazing. We are glorious. We are magnificent spiritual beings alive and well on planet Earth. And this teaching gives us not only the permission, but the encouragement to stand up and take our rightful place in this world. We are amazing. When we start to pick apart our beliefs, when we start to pick apart how we see the world and take responsibility for what's going on, not blame, but if I did it, I can undo it and I can do something different. If I didn't do it, I'm screwed. So it's up to us to take responsibility for what is going on inside of us, and that means conscious and unconscious. If we have unconscious things that are going on, the best way to know what's going on with you unconsciously is to look at your life. How do you feel about yourself? How much value do you place on yourself? Well, how's your checkbook? How do you feel about whether or not you get the opportunities in life? Are doors opening up for you and beckoning you to your success? Or are they slamming shut? All you have to do is look at your life to see what it is you really think. And when you start to take responsibility for the life that we have created, when we start to take responsibility for the life that we have created, then we have the tools to change that, to transform them, to move into greater and greater levels of awareness. And I love the prosperity class. And wasn't the prosperity class fun? Yay. We're chanting that treatment. I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action, and money shows up. But this class takes us to a much deeper level. It is for us to look at, are we safe in the world? What do we really believe about love? What do we really believe about the opposite sex? What do we really believe about our right and our ability to prosper and thrive in this world? And then what can we do, not just on a surface level of affirmations, but what can we do deep down inside of us to get that the entire presence of the divine is individualized at the point of us right now. Not tomorrow, not when we finish doing all of our do-good stuff, but right now, always has been, always will be. Our minds are a point of divine operation. And if we get a hold of that, it's like getting a hold of the steering wheel on a runaway car. If we get a hold of that, we can direct it to wherever we want. The law will not say, oh, Barbara, I know you've been down this road before and you know it just ends in pain and suffering, so I'm going to cut you some slack because I think that maybe you'll get it next time. It doesn't. It says whatever it is that you choose to focus upon, whatever it is you choose to think about, you will get. And that's what I get. And sometimes some of my biggest lessons have been not really getting what I thought I wanted and having a wake-up call that says you better start thinking about something else. You better start focusing on that which you want. You don't get free days with the law. You can't come here on Sunday and get all positive and hyped up on good vibes and then go out and start dissing everybody and complaining and criticizing. No, you're going to get the complaining and criticizing demonstration. The law doesn't say, oh, I'm going to give you a break. There are no breaks. We are creating every moment of our lives. And so when we focus on what we want, when we develop a positive attitude that we don't abandon because we think there's a special circumstance. Well, I would have been positive today, but do you know what that dirty, rotten rack and fratchet did? They deserved every negative vibe I gave them. Well, maybe they did, but they didn't get it. The negative vibe only went to me, only went to us. It's funny how we can't change people. God knows I've tried. We can't change people, and we can't affect them. We can't hurt them with our ill will thoughts. The only one we can change is us, and the only one that we will affect with our thoughts is us. So it's up to us not to abandon our hard work, our good work, in creating a mental atmosphere that says life is wonderful, life is fantastic, life is amazing. I have more money than I know what to do with. My body keeps getting younger and younger looking. Isn't it amazing? Yeah. Life is fantastic. Because I have within me the power, all the power that is. I have that within me. So any circumstance that I'm looking at doesn't own me, I own it. I own that circumstance because I'm the one creating it. I'm the one feeding it. I'm the one bringing it to life. It doesn't rule me, I rule it. So if there's anything going on in my life that I choose to not have anymore, I've got everything that I need to get rid of it. I've got everything that I need to recreate that which I choose to have. And I remember in that early 1977 24-year-old class, it asked a lot of me. It asked a lot of me. It asked me to rethink the way I saw the world. It asked me to let go of my cherished hurts that I'd been carrying around all my life. My parents didn't love me. They neglected me. They locked me out. I had to fend for myself. I ate hibiscus flowers. I was on my own as a very young age. Oh, woe is me. And so what I got was a life of woe is me. And I jumped into this group of people who, in my young mind, were rich. They were happy. God, they're going around hugging each other and laughing and just having such a wonderful life. It was totally foreign to me. But if I wanted that life, I had to change what was going on inside of me. I had just left my first husband. I was not allowed to hate him. He kept threatening to fly to Eugene and steal my son out from under his covers at night. I was not allowed to hate him. I was not allowed to be upset. I was not allowed to be afraid of him if I wanted that other life. It asked me to look deep inside of myself and to find something that I didn't even know was there. Powerful Barbara, Barbara Powerhouse. I didn't know she was inside of me. I had to go get her. I had to go find her. I had to bring her forth and bring her to life by diligently working on myself. But you know, amazing things happen when you let go of the past, when you don't let the event rule you. I have a student named Janet. She lives in Dallas. I met her 10 years ago when I went to the Center for Spiritual Living Dallas to be a part of their big prosperity push for their commitment time in their center, and they had a series of guest speakers come every Sunday, and I was one of them. So I flew out to Dallas, and I did an amazing talk on prosperity. I did a workshop. I had the increased income flyers. At that time, it was called Unexpected Income, and I had them up on their feet chanting and just got them all riled up. And I met a woman named Janet that has since then kept in contact with me. I love my students, the ones that really work, the ones that aren't afraid of the teaching, the ones that aren't afraid of being magnificent. She sent me this at 9:30 last night. She said, Barbara, as you know, forgiveness refers to letting other people or ourselves off the hook for what they or we have or haven't done. See, she's a good student. And it's a critical part of manifesting abundance in all forms. I have an attorney client who owes me $1,800 and doesn't return calls or respond to emails and ignores the invoices I have sent over the past several months. I explored taking him to small claims court, but as I did so, I was filled with such anger, bitterness, and thoughts of lack and limitation that the money was simply not worth what I would end up manifesting. I immediately discarded that idea. I realized that if he can't pay what he owes me, which his secretary had hinted at, his practice is in serious financial difficulty. But if he won't pay what he owes me, his practice will get into serious financial difficulty because his belief that it's okay not to pay his bills will come back to him multiplied. Either way, I will never see the money. Charles Fillmore's Prosperity has a chapter called God Will Pay Your Debts. And it reminded me that my client is not my source, and what is mine and must come to me. So on Tuesday, I mentally released my client from his debt to me without telling him and credited his account the $1,800 and made a note to claim it as a bad debt on my taxes, and I didn't give it another thought. Yesterday, I received a check in the mail from my mother for $5,000, totally out of the blue and for no reason at all. If you come across anyone who doubts that this stuff works, send them right along to me, Janet. Janet is also the one I spoke about in the prosperity class that was notified by her broker that she owned stock that she didn't know she owned, and it was in a forced sale. And so she got a check for more than that amount as her increased income. If we are willing to look within ourselves and to come into alignment with the truth of who we are, if we are willing to stand spiritually straight and tall and embrace our power, our clarity, our wisdom and intelligence, if we are willing to step out on faith and prove this teaching, there are no limits to what we can create. There are no limits, because you cannot have a limitless divine experience. If spirit is limited in any way, then none of this hangs out together. We've gone from oneness to two-ness. Time and space does not exist in two-ness. It only exists in oneness. If we are willing to take an honest look at ourselves, to look at our lives and say, oh my gosh, how did I create that? And for what good lesson did I learn through that? Since if I learned the lesson, I won't have to do it again. Oh my gosh, how did I open that door? I opened it with love. I opened it with forgiveness. I opened it with trust. I opened it with faith. Oh my God, how did I create this amazing experience of being able to come to Center for Spiritual Living Asheville and to be with such great people and live in such an amazing place? Or like Jenny, come back down after 3 years of being up in Maine for a visit for the weekend. Look at what I did. Look at what I did. Look at the power inside of me. Look at that which lifts me up instead of puts me down. If we could get but a simple glimpse of who we are, the magnificent being that we are, everything that we think is a problem would disappear in our lives. It would melt away. It would go back into the nothingness from whence it came, and in its place would be prosperity, health, happiness, love, joy, success of all kinds. And it would come not with a lot of toil and sweat. It would come through the easy path. It would show up, because when you are in alignment in consciousness, the only thing that can happen is that which you are in alignment with manifests in your life. There is a law that governs everything. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. We can rely on it, we can depend on it, we can know that if this obstacle is showing up right now, it doesn't own me, I own it. And as I stand up and own it, and own my life, it changes just like that. When we can get that this presence and power of God itself is who we are, we can do anything. And that is what we are here to do together. We are the place where the impossible happens on a daily basis. Jen is going to teach a class at 1 o'clock on mastering your physical body, on living the life of your dreams. The same person that was in a wheelchair not too many years ago, and the doctors said she would never walk again. Not only is she walking, she's a coach at the Y, for God's sakes. She teaches people how to work out. We do the impossible on a regular basis. Miracles are an everyday occurrence here. And the more that we can open up to the truth of who we are, the more that we can trust that which is already inside of us, and know that we can master every situation, we can manifest whatever that we want, the more that we will change not only our world, not only each other's world, but the entire world. I love you.
And that conversation continues tomorrow night at 7. Yes. Very good. Thank you all for being here today. I think there may be somebody in the room here for the first time. If so, we'd like to say hi. Welcome, welcome. We got a couple of people. Oh, look at them all, look at them all. Yay! That's fantastic. Thank you all for being here today. We have our ambassadors there that are handing out little cards. We'd love for you to fill them out and bring them with you out into the foyer area. We're going to we have a gift for you out there and some things to share. So we're delighted that you found your way to the center today. Thank you so much, and we hope we get to see you again. Y'all are really good-looking people, I'll tell you. I'm so glad that I'm part of this community. So let's take out what we're going to give. And while our prosperity acceptors are coming forward, I'm going to talk to the camera for a second, to those folks that check us out online. Many of you come on a regular basis and check us out. Some of you are just finding us for the first time. Either way, if you want to participate in supporting this community, you are absolutely welcome to do that. You can click the donate button that's right there on your screen, and we would be delighted to have a connection with you in that way. And I'll tell you a little secret. When you send some money in through the website, Barbara sends you a note back, a personal note. I know. She gets to hug all of you in the room. So that she can't do with people online, but it's making more and more of a statement of who we are as an online community as much as a community physically here. It's good stuff we're doing. All right, let's bless these gifts. So I hold the ones that are from Barbara and me and some other folks in my hand. And what I know is the presence and the power of the one is right here, right now, just like Barbara said. It is who we are. It is what we do. It's all divine. It's all that amazing presence of power and love and the perfection of life. And it all comes to us through the law. And knowing that that is so, we have these gifts that we give to this center. And we know that we cannot outgive the divine. The more that we give, the more that we focus on that dynamic flow through our lives, the more shows up. And with that power of knowing that truth and living according to that, our lives continue to become more and more abundant. So I bless these gifts. We bless them in this moment and from all that they go out and create in the world. We know that all is well because all is God, and we let this be our truth right here and right now as we repeat these words together. I freely and joyously give from the abundance and fullness of my overflowing wealth, knowing my gift goes with love as it touches and blesses the world. And so it is.